All right, welcome to another conversation with Glenn. Glenn's still in New York, and I'm sure loving it right now. But Glenn wanted to just start off quick. Can we get a quick weight update? Any news on this, good or bad, one way or the other?
No. I haven't stepped on a scale. I don't think I've gained any weight, but I haven't lost any weight either, and it's not happy. I'm not happy. Thank you,
That's not terrible. I mean,
thank you for bringing that up.
Could be worse. So you mentioned today on radio that you hung out with Arianna Huffington a little bit, and describe the reaction that you were getting on Facebook there. It sounded like you had a lot of the haters were going to hate.
No, I mean there wasn't a lot. There was enough, but the majority of people were good, glad. I'm glad people are talking. I'm glad people don't sell out. But I'm glad people are talking and coming together and trying to find places where we connect. I thought the overall theme from people was united we stand, divided we fall, and they know that. And I have really good friends who disagree with me on a few things that are very concerned about exactly the same things that we are concerned about. Global war, an economy that is about to fall off of a cliff, and civil unrest. So we better start reaching out to each other and seeing how we can mend some fences here. And quite honestly, the interesting thing is I had dinner with somebody, as I talked about on the radio this week. I had dinner with somebody who is a lefty, who a friend introduced me to, and said, you don't know who Glenn Beck is. You have no idea. And you just have this cartoon character of what people on the right are like. And here in New York, you don't meet those people. You don't meet people like we hang out with all the time. They're not here. And so they have this cartoon character that they have concocted for themselves mainly. And I had dinner with this woman, and at the end of the meal, she actually wept. She cried. And she said, "I am sorry. I had no idea. I was believing in this boogeyman that the media had created, and I'm glad that we had a chance to meet." And I feel that's the same way with a lot of people. Some people don't want to, change their point of view, but some people do. They just don't have an opportunity to meet somebody who has our point of view.
As a follow-up to that, you've been in New York for 2 weeks. There's always this, there's such culture shock between New York and Texas and that kind of thing. Do you think that the people in New York and the people you're speaking of that may not agree with you, that are willing to be open-minded after they meet with you, do you think we have the same problem on our end where maybe sometimes we're not open-minded enough?
Oh, read the quotes on the Facebook page about Arianna. I mean, they don't even want to attempt to reach out. And I'm not talking about changing your point of view. I'm talking about, is there anything that we both deeply agree on? Not can we come together and have immigration policy. Are there big principles that we do agree on that will hold us back together and see us as people? I had another meeting that the people requested that it was off the record, but I will tell you that it was shocking, and it was, when they walked in to TheBlaze this week, people at TheBlaze were like, what? And
yeah, I know who this was with, so I can only assume that was the reaction.
Oh,
but go ahead.
It was breathtaking. And they sat in my office, and I opened up the meeting with, I know neither of us have ever thought that we would ever have a conversation. But here we are, and I'm glad you came. And here's what I want to talk to you about. And I talked to him about fascism on the rise and the rounding up of Jews and homosexuals and Christians all around the world, and said, look, you have a group of people that will listen to you on this. I have a group of people that will listen to me on this. And I think we need to come together and we need to ring the bell, because this is what's happening. And one of them immediately went to a very small topic that was, something that we're going to disagree on. And they said, well, you believe X, Y, and Z. And I stopped, and it took me a while for my hands to stop shaking and the blood pressure to go back down. And I just said to them, I'm here talking about saving human beings. I'm here talking to you about ending crucifixions, ending people being thrown off of buildings, ending people being put into cages and set on fire, looking for the seeds of hatred in Europe, in Russia, and stopping that and standing together. If you guys want to talk about those small issues, this is a waste of time, because I'll never come your way, you'll never come my way, and then we'll be divided, and that's the way enemies would like to have us. But if you can say, I understand that this is a real concern, and I'll put my differences on these small issues aside because this is a bigger concern, then we can work together. And we'll wait to see what happens.
On that.
What'd you say?
One quick follow-up on that. You had a lot of what we would call strange bedfellow meetings while you were in New York. A lot of people, to your point, that disagreed with you. What, out of all of these conversations, what is the thing that gets through? What have you learned? What's the best way to approach people that don't agree with you so that you can see eye to eye on some issues? What's the best tactic to get there?
Jesus, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Bonhoeffer. They all know those guys. And you can take all of those guys and talk about their situations and draw direct parallel to what's happening in the world today, and say, you're on the wrong side of history because this is happening again. And you're either going to be on the side with Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Bonhoeffer, and Jesus, or you're not. And I choose to stand with those guys. And everybody understands that. Everybody understands that. One thing I'm really trying to, a kind of an unrelated topic, I haven't brought it up with the strange bedfellows. Well, I can't say that. I met with he's a good friend of mine, and he's not liberal. He's a classic liberal, a libertarian, if you will. He's a guy who runs or is the partner with Robert De Niro for the Tribeca Film Festival. And we had dinner and we were talking about things. We talked about Chris Kyle and the movie, and he's a big fan of the movie, and we see eye to eye on many things. But I said, the problem is that the progressives took the chair away from the table for the classic liberal. And that's the big problem. Most people are classic liberals. Look, we can be neighbors. You can live next door to me, and we can be fine with each other. The minute you try to rule my life, tell me who I can sleep with, tell me who I can marry, tell me what religion I have to attend, tell me how I have to live my life, how I have to do my job, then I got a problem with you. But if you just leave me alone, I'm going to leave you alone. And that's where most people are. And on top of that, it's very interesting. As I meet with millennials, the millennials are tired of the talk. Do it. Just do it. Don't tell me about it. Let's just do it. So if we can adopt the language of Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Bonhoeffer, and then adopt their attitude of just do it, stop talking about it, we win, and we'll unite a lot of people.
Yeah, and I like what you said there about, earlier when you were talking with Arianna and everything about being, looking at each other as humans and putting a human face on one another. Because I think for all the positives that technology has brought, I think one of the negatives is that it's just allowed us to kind of lazily be on the sidelines and pick and choose what box we're going to be, put into, and allow ourselves to be used by different movements because we fit into this box or that box, and then we less and less look at each other as humans. Do you see that, that role, technology playing that role too?
In several of my meetings this week, I had that very discussion, that that we're losing touch with humanity, that through technology and through rhetoric, we no longer see people as people anymore. Arianna and I both talked about how in our own organizations, we are looking at people, not us per se, but there's a tendency of people to look at people, the readers, as clicks. I'll write what I write, I'll write my headline to get people to click on it, instead of writing the headline, writing the story to appeal to the audience and to inform and educate the audience and to bring them to new and different places. And both Arianna, I was really impressed with. We both want to bring new ideas to our audience and surprise our audience. And we talked a great deal about, I brought up that I think that people are calcifying. And, that we have worked really hard with our audience all the way through. It's why I always say, do your own homework. Don't calcify. Don't calcify around any position, any party, anything, because the world is changing so fast. You have to remain nimble. And so we spoke a lot about the calcification around ideas and around people and images, et cetera, and instead we have to be about the human experience.
Yeah, so I know you got to get going. Maybe we'll just finish
I have
up.
a good follow-up, final question when you're done.
Okay, I was just going to say, where do you draw the line on who you're willing to meet with? I mean, you met with Arianna, and that went well. Who are would you meet with like a Van Jones or where do you go from here? Who are the types of people you'd like to kind of reach out to?
Van Jones is too much of an actor. Van Jones is too much of a performer. He's a chameleon. I have no interest in meeting with people who are not sincere in their, who won't tell me the truth. When Van Jones says, yeah, I do believe in the Communist Manifesto, then I'll talk to him. But until he comes out of his shell and says who he really is, I'm not interested. I can deal with people who believe in radically different things than I believe in, but not if you're undercover.
So last question, we know that you're heading to Vegas this weekend and you're going to get a chance to meet with some of your listeners, which is awesome. But my question is this: you are going to Sin City as a Mormon, former alcoholic, guy that can't even eat anything that tastes good or gamble. So what is the biggest sin that Glenn gets to commit in Sin City? Because it sounds like you got nothing left.
I'm going to speed to the hotel from the airport.
Exciting.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, actually,
Sounds really
I'm
fun.
really excited. I'm bringing some historic guns that actually we couldn't even put them on a plane, and they're being carried in by two escorts, if you will, and that sounds risky in Vegas. Two people who are guarding these guns because of what they are. I'm speaking at the Safari Club, and they wanted me to talk a little bit about the history of guns, and I'm kind of taking the same approach I took with the NRA, that guns are tools in the hands of people, and I have some historic guns that I think will blow people away, so to speak, and I think there's one gun in particular that I think might make the audience cry when I show it to them. It's going to be fantastic, and I don't want to wreck the surprise for the audience that's going to be there, so I think we'll still have all of them on Monday when I come back, so maybe we'll do an extra segment or something on those.
Great.
Cool.
We look forward to seeing it.
Cool.
We'll see you back here on Monday.
Thanks, guys.